Welcome back to Talk of the Town on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC, on WHTC.com, and on the WHTC app for your smartphone. Once again, here's your host, Gary Stevens.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town for this Friday, January 3rd. It is the first Friday of the month, which means we catch up with things going on with the Community Foundation of the Holland, Zeeland area. Its president and CEO, Patrick Cisler, on the other end of our Zoom connection this morning. Patrick, good morning and Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year to you as well, Gary. Happy to be here.
If you have a question for Patrick, he'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. 2024, it's been pretty eventful for the Community Foundation. Correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes my years go by too quickly. Second full year for you at the helm was 2024?
So I've been here about 18 months. So
okay.
I've been through 2 end-of-year seasons.
Okay, so this is really the first full year that you have been the president and CEO. Okay, so that's why I wanted to sort of put that as the background. So 2024, let's take a look back as to some of the things that the foundation was able to do. And I know that there were some good achievements. You were able to help a lot of good people.
Yeah, it was really an incredible year for the Community Foundation. Lots to celebrate, lots of growth, impact, and look forward to just sharing a few highlights as we look back on 24. So as I shared a year ago when I gave our end of year highlights, though, my finance team always wants me to emphasize that our numbers are preliminary as we are still finalizing some of our gift numbers here. But let's jump into some of the big ticket numbers that we're celebrating when it comes to gifts and grants. And so total gifts received in 2024 from to the Community Foundation was $11.5 million. And that number is, again, still counting as you know, many folks like to drop those end of year gifts into the mailbox exactly on New Year's Eve. So looking forward to still receiving some gifts yet today. So total gifts, $11.5 million. Total grant dollars distributed, $14.1 million. So we actually granted out more dollars this year than we took in, and that is worthy of celebration. I mean, the ultimate goal is to get dollars out and back into the community. So we celebrate that. Specifically for our community's endowment, which is what we do our primary grant making from. We received $1.7 million specifically, so we really celebrate that and the impact that we're able to have with those dollars. Then on the granting side from the community's endowment, we granted out $1,147,000, which we celebrate, again, dollars back into the community. We talk often about our Promise program, which is a scholarship program that we operate here. We specifically received $704,000 in gifts to the Promise, and we were able to grant back out $626,000 in scholarships. Currently, that program, we had this past year celebrated 8 graduating students. We welcomed 15 new scholars, and we currently have 55 total students in the Promise program. And then as far as new funds that we were able to start this year, we had 21 new funds that total $2.4 million in assets in the underlying those funds. So in terms of gifts and grants, we received an incredible response from our donors. It's so meaningful to have grown the community's endowment to a point where we could distribute over $1 million of investment back into the Holland, Zeeland area each year. It's a goal that we've been working towards for a long time. We crossed that threshold last year and are continuing to build on that. And it's only possible because of the dedication and trust placed in the Community Foundation by generations of donors who believe in the power of a robust endowment to address both immediate needs and opportunities as well as future challenges and opportunities. So it's funny because I regularly run into past board members of the foundation who maybe served 20, 30, 40 years ago, and they talk about when it was a big deal to have $1 million in total assets. And now to think that we're granting out $1 million alone from the community's endowment, and another close to $1 million through scholarships, and of course, substantially more than that in other grants from donor-directed funds. So it's just neat to see the growth over time. And then as it relates to the kind of the community impact side of our work, in 2024, it marked the second year of our two-pronged approach to grant making, where we focus both on kind of the proactive and the responsive grant making. And so we awarded $435,000 to 12 nonprofit organizations through 2 rounds of responsive grants. These grants address a broad range of issues and opportunities, including affordable housing, food insecurity, youth services, and more, and included grants to local nonprofits like the Holland Free Health Clinic, ODC, Community Action House, Children's Advocacy Center, and Renew Therapeutic Riding Center, among others. We then distributed $435,000 in 3 rounds of proactive grants, and these address specific focus areas around educational achievement, healthy kids and families, and access to mental health services. These targeted investments were identified using community feedback and data and are designed to meaningfully move the needle on these critical areas of concern in the Holland Zeeland area. So these grants included organizations like the Boys and Girls Club, Single Mom, Midtown Counseling, as well as supporting our local public schools in both Holland and Zeeland. The Community Foundation also distributes funding to support a healthy nonprofit ecosystem. We call this our Strengthening Nonprofit Sector Work. And last year, we were able to invest $227,000 into this focus area through nonprofit leadership and professional development, data gathering and dissemination, leadership transition support, and facilitating cross-sector collaborations. So I'm happy to share some of the new and unique opportunities that we were able to support this year as part of that strengthening nonprofit sector work. So last year around this time, we launched a new, what we call technical assistance matching fund. And in the past year, we were able to award grants to 4 nonprofits to support pursuing outside consulting services to help them in a specific area of their operations, such as human resource systems, performance management systems, organizational culture assessments, and salary studies. And so we're excited to be able to provide additional support to nonprofits to help meet these areas of need. Second, through that strengthening nonprofit sector work, we celebrated a cohort of 9, what we called rising leaders that participated in the Lead 24/7 Leadership Development Program that's operated by the Lakeshore Nonprofit Alliance. This year-long immersive leadership program had previously been offered only to executive directors, and this cohort was specifically for those who serve in other executive leadership or management positions. So we believe in investments like this will help build a pipeline of future organizational leaders in the nonprofit sector. And then lastly, through this work, with a significant number of leadership transitions in the past year, we partnered with the Lakeshore Nonprofit Alliance this spring to survey new leaders on their needs, and then funded the Lakeshore Nonprofit Alliance to design and lead an intensive 4-week program based on the topics that leaders named as most important for new leaders to engage in. And so we had 14 new leaders participate in that program, and they found it so valuable, they requested additional support, and we were able to fund 2 additional sessions over the summer. So we celebrate that. Lastly, then, with community impact, the Communities Endowment also supports our Promise program. And so the Promise offers both, as I shared a little bit a moment ago, an educational scholarship as well as side-by-side services to students of high academic achievement, but also high financial need. The program, which has supported more than 100 students since 2010, boasts a 93% graduation rate, which we just think is amazing. And this year, we recognized 8 graduates who completed degrees in fields including mathematics, supply chain management, social work, psychology, and then we welcomed 15 new students into the program as well. So as I shared earlier, there's currently 55 high-achieving students who are part of the Promise. And this program truly is a community scholarship, and we could not do it, we could not operate this without the generous support of donors who believe our community thrives when we work together to help open doors of opportunity for bright students like the kids that are in that program. So a lot to celebrate in 24 as it relates to community impact. But we also celebrate the financial side of the work that we do. And we were able to celebrate achieving an investment return of 9.48% on our primary investments. Of course, like many others, we would have liked markets to finish the year strong, but we still celebrate the success there. And watching our assets, our total assets grow to 135 million. So our goal each and every year is to help to create a thriving community for everyone who calls the Holland Zeeland area home. And the way that we have the biggest impact in this is by stewarding more and more philanthropic resources to meet community needs and opportunities. And basically, we need more dollars to have more impact. And the primary way that we grow our dollars is through gifts, but also through those investment returns. And so I'm proud to work alongside an incredibly talented investment committee made up of dedicated volunteers who have extensive investment experience, as well as a professional investment advisory firm to make sure that we are investing the community's resources wisely. And then on the investment side, or I'm sorry, on the events side, just to kind of wrap up our 2024 look back, we had some wonderful moments of connection and celebration this year with the community. Our annual luncheon back in May was a sold out event where we celebrated our board of trustees and youth advisory committee, and we hosted a panel of nonprofit partners who had received proactive grants from us. And then the highlight personally for me was honoring Dr. Jim Boltman with our Marvin C. Lindeman Distinguished Service Award for his incredible work on the Today, Tomorrow, Forever campaign back in 2015 that really helped to grow the community's endowment. His work directly contributed to our current success as an organization, and it really was wonderful to just to pause and be able to recognize him for his efforts. And then, of course, our Celebration of Philanthropy event, which brought together over 800 attendees back in September. This year's theme, which was rooted in community, highlighted stories of how people give their time, talent, and treasure to build a thriving community. The event videos featuring Dr. Robert Swearinga, as well as Latin Americans United for Progress, are available on our website if anyone wants to view them. And they tell some just beautiful stories of around our theme of being rooted in the Holland Zeeland community. So we lift up and celebrate so many good things that happened in 2024.
Keep in mind, if you need to or wish to look at those videos, go online to cfhz.org. That's cfhz.org. One more thing, and you mentioned proactive grants. You had one more round of proactive grants to award in 2024, and you had some good recipients too.
Yeah, so we had one final round for our around our area of mental health. So we distributed 145,000 between 3 organizations in December to help increase availability of and access to mental health care services. So just to take a step back and talk a little bit about why we originally focused on, had a proactive focus on mental health services in the first place. So the recent 2023 Community Health Needs Assessment really sheds some light as to why this work is so critical. For instance, here's a couple data points. So 34.5% of Ottawa County adults are experiencing what's called mild to severe psychological distress. That number is nearly double the rate that we saw back in 2020. Another data point, anxiety and depressive disorders are at the highest levels since the Community Health Needs Assessment started doing this assessment, which dates back 15 years ago. Over 31% of our youth report experiencing depression, and 7.8% have attempted suicide in the past year. I mean, these are really sobering statistics, as well as the prevalence of mental health struggles are notably higher among women, non-white individuals, and those with lower income. So it certainly does not impact everybody the same. So all that to say, again, some very sobering statistics, but all that to say, mental health continues to be a major concern in our community. And as demand for mental health care services increase, a shortage of behavioral health providers has created long wait lists and limited timely access to services. So organizations that provide low to no cost services to these populations are competing with private practices as they attempt to attract and retain clinicians. Local mental health care organizations have implemented really innovative ideas to help address the need and best practices to help meet that need. So the Community Foundation committed 145,000 in grants to support these organizations as they increase access to and availability of mental health services, particularly for individuals that are most affected by the current lack of providers. So 3 grants, the first of which went to Beacon of Hope for their Open the Gates program. That was $60,000 over 2 years. And this grant is to help Beacon of Hope tackle Ottawa County's critical mental health service delays, averaging 6 to 12 weeks. So by expanding their counseling internship program. So the organization will hire a full-time clinical supervisor to oversee up to 12 interns, potentially adding up to 5,000 counseling sessions annually and serving 350 additional clients. And so partnerships with institutions like Aquinas College ensure sustainability in training new counselors and creating a local workforce pipeline. So really able to get a high return on investment for those grant dollars. The second grant that we were able to make went to City on a Hill Ministries Health Clinic for their behavioral health integration expansion. And this was $55,000 over 2 years. And this was to help deliver comprehensive mental health care for individuals from low-income households, including those who are uninsured or underinsured. And so for 18 years, City on a Hill Health Clinic has delivered free healthcare for Ottawa and Allegan County residents. And with depression and anxiety, again, some of those statistics I shared earlier, among the top diagnoses, the health clinic has seen a 40% rise in mental health patients since 2016. So most of their clients earn at or below 150% of the federal poverty level. In response to that growing demand for mental health services, the health clinic at City on a Hill plans to hire 2 full-time licensed social workers, including Spanish-speaking counselors, a part-time case manager, and expand its internship program from 5 to 8 students. This is the second time that the Community Foundation has invested in City on a Hill's health clinic, in specifically in their behavioral health integration program. So we made an initial grant back in 2022 that helped expand counseling hours, growing from 29 to 82 clients served. And through that process, they clearly demonstrated their credibility and commitment to meeting this critical community need. And we were thrilled to be able to award another grant to them in 2024. And then the last grant from this most recent round went to Community Mental Health of Ottawa County, and specifically for their crisis intervention team expansion. And so this was for $30,000, and it's to help the Community Mental Health of Ottawa County expand the crisis intervention team, or the CIT program for short, and which has trained over 100 first responders since its 2021 launch to address mental health crisis by recognizing behavioral health conditions, de-escalating behavioral health crises, and connecting individuals and families to community services and support. So the way that the program works, the program pairs master level clinicians with law enforcement to respond to behavioral health related 911 calls. So if you can imagine the police getting dispatched to 911 calls, many times the root issue that they're being called to address actually are in fact mental health needs in nature. And so this is where having a mental health clinician go on these calls with a police officer can be very helpful. Currently, the CIT program is averaging 78 co-responses every month. And currently, clinicians must ride with officers, limiting the geographic coverage. But thanks to the grant that we were able to provide, Community Mental Health will be able to secure vehicles specifically for those clinicians to respond independently, which really helps to remove the restrictions created by jurisdictional and assignment-related boundaries. So Southern Ottawa County alone sees is 8,500 to 12,800 annual 911 calls that are appropriate for a CIT intervention due to that mental health concern. So, those often overlap with homelessness or disturbing the peace or substance use related calls. So, current program metrics provide evidence that CIT's response to crisis in the community reduces the burden to the criminal justice system and emergency departments, as well as keeps responders and community members safe and results to appropriate treatment and services. So really excited to be able to announce those three recent grants.
Patrick, late last month, the foundation announced that the first project for the Community Carbon Fund has been launched in conjunction with the Outdoor Discovery Center. Tell us a little bit about this, because it should be done by the middle of this coming year.
Yeah, so the Community Carbon Fund really spun up about 2 years ago, and it really was created as a result of a partnership with the ODC network. And the way that the fund really works is donors can contribute to that fund, and those dollars would then go to community projects that really help to offset carbon that is produced. And so there's a lot of obviously activities that businesses and humans and us, do that put carbon into the air. And so the idea was to create a mechanism for donors to contribute to help offset some of that carbon creation. And so the goal was to have nonprofits actually submit ideas that would help with that carbon offset. And as you mentioned, last month was our first opportunity to fund a project. And so we were able to support the ODC network, who is the primary partner in this, with some tree planting. And so we made an $8,000 contribution for some tree planting efforts that will take place in 2025. So, it's one of those ideas that I think another one of those examples of the kinds of things that we can do here at the Community Foundation through our unique structure and the different kinds of funds that we are able to provide. So excited to, after a few years of raising dollars for that, to actually put some of those resources to work.
Yeah, and that's going to be a long-term project. Yeah, I know the planting might be done by June of 2025, but we might, I hate to say, we might not see the fruits, no pun intended, because it's a former blueberry field, but we might not see the fruits of that coming up until, about 10, 15 years, when those trees become a little bit more mature and sort of help out in that particular way. But it's a noble cause, and repurposing land. Would be nice if we could repurpose some of the land that maybe, it's one thing about repurposing a former blueberry field. There are some other areas where maybe we need to fix up a little bit too. A little bit harder, easier said than done, right?
Certainly.
All right. More information about what's going on with the Community Foundation of the Holland Zeeland area. We invite you to go online to cfhz.org. That's cfhz.org. Not only information about what's going on with the foundation, how you can contribute to the foundation, individual donors, just as important and just as vital as the corporate donors that do help the big way with the foundation. Again, that website is cfhz.org. As always, Patrick Cisler, thank you very much for letting us know about some of the things going on with the Community Foundation. Wish you and everybody at the foundation well. And if all goes well, we'll talk with you again, if not next month, maybe somebody else with the foundation, but certainly we'll be talking with you a little bit later on as 2025 moves along.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Gary. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Patrick Cisler, on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. CBS News straight ahead, followed by WHTC News. We'll wrap up Talk of the Town with Bar Visitors Evergreen Commentary Report at 11:25, and then we'll have the WHTC Midday Report on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.